everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Deanna and you're watching Orchie D. This evening I wanted to show you some changes I've made to a couple of my grow spaces in terms of, I guess, some equipment and setup changes. Now we're outside on my back deck at the moment and I've shuffled a lot of things around here. For those of you who have followed my channel in the past, you might know that this back deck is one of my main grow spaces. However, I do struggle a lot with getting the right balance of light out here. But you can see that the deck is closed on both sides. It's just open along that face. So I either get full shade under here or I get direct sun. It's just not ideal with the direct sun. If the temperature out here is more than, say, 22, 23 degrees, then the direct light that hits those plants ends up being about 40 degrees Celsius. And at the beginning of winter I had some really bad sun damage because the sun sort of started lowering and I didn't realize. And yeah, last winter I actually had that shelf against this wall and my plants didn't flower, so it wasn't enough light in here basically. So yeah, this is what I've been struggling with. So I guess the bottom line is, for this outdoor grow space I've got a new grow light, and that is a Mars Hydro SP250, and it is crazy bright. It is so it's so bright that I can't really look at it directly. I specifically got this white LED grow light because I just didn't want a pink balcony, but this guy is so bright that it actually lights up my entire deck. Now this isn't a good example because actually I still have my overlight LEDs on, so for the purposes of this video I just want to show you how bright this light is. So I've turned off all the overhead lights. There's still a tiny bit of light coming in from inside, but not very much. If you just let the camera adjust a little bit, I can actually still do stuff, come in and out, and I can see what I'm doing because that light is so bright. And I just, sorry about the mess, but I have been shuffling things around trying to get this space what I want it to be. You can see it extends down to these paths and frags a little bit, and the shelf underneath gets pretty good filtered light. Let me try and show you. So if I just run my hand about half a foot over, you can see the shadowing that still gets created. It's still quite bright down here. A few of the plants that were up here, and they are mostly cattleyas and bright light orchids, turned a little bit too purple, and the leaves reacted a little bit, so they've been moved down a shelf. This cattleya has sort of reverted again, but you can see some of these back leaves, they turned really quite purple, so I've moved this cattleya down. But overall the ones that are staying up here are doing really well. My Laelia purpurata's out here as well. She's growing fantastically with all these new growths. So yeah, I've also actually even hung a few of these Vandas up. Sorry, I've just turned the overhead lights back on. But you can see I've got those two blinds installed up there. Now, we did install them for privacy reasons, but also to just help protect the deck from the really strong, direct winter sun. So it works really well for that. It probably blocks more light than I'd like. But having said that, it does block a lot of wind as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword because it's just not quite enough light that comes through so I can grow the plants nicely in winter. But also it does protect at nighttime, especially on the winter nights. It does protect this area, this back deck, from really cold winds, and it probably protects by a few degrees. So, you know, if it's like 8 degrees out there, if I have the blinds down, it still remains about 10, 11 degrees in here, which is quite nice. But yeah, it means that when I have it closed, I rely on this fan up here for airflow. So unfortunately, you know, I can't put a timer on this fan. It's just on or off, and it doesn't quite get to all the corners of this back deck. And I do find that this wall especially doesn't get a lot of airflow unless the wind is blowing in the right direction and those blinds are open, which, you know, I'm just playing this dance. I've been doing it for 2 years and I just haven't got it quite right. So I ended up buying this pedestal fan, which I'll be putting on a timer system with the light so they can both come on, and I'll probably put the fan in that corner there. Yeah, so unfortunately what did prompt me to do this was that my poor little Sideria japonica got crown rot, and I think I'm going to lose it. So here it is down here, and it was already stressed because it got burnt earlier this year, and yeah, it just continued to lose leaf by leaf since it came back to me after holidays. Here you can see it's still got roots, but it's lost another 2 or 3 leaves now, and I've put some dragon's blood there, which is why it looks a bit funny. Let me show it in the light. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait and see what it does. Perhaps it'll throw out a little kiki, but I'm not sure. It's looking very, very sad, and I'm sad because I really like this plant. But you know what, you've got to, I guess, learn from these sorts of mistakes. What I do know is these plants do need a bit of airflow through here, so I'm going to set that all up. So I guess besides the Sideria japonica, I'm actually pretty happy with how most of my plants out here are going. Some of them are in growth mode, some of them are just having a little rest with the colder weather. I do have a couple of like pure winter resters, but not too many. I have this one down here, which is my Dendrobium Lindley, which I've only drizzled with a little bit of RO water once since coming back from holiday. Same with this Kingianum, and I did put a little bit of water in today, and I noticed, can you see? Got a couple of little flower spikes. Well, I think they're flower spikes. I hope they're not cakeys, but and I think I found a little spike in here as well. Can you see that? So the Kingianum is an Australian species, so it is actually found up and down the east coast of Australia up to about this Brisbane, southeast Queensland area, I believe. So it does pretty well in the conditions that I provide it. But I do think that this grow light helped initiate those flower spikes, but hard to say, it may have done that anyway. So I guess to make up for my sad news about the Sideria japonica, I do have some nice things happening out here, but the Dendrobium Varioda is looking really nice, opening up all its blooms there. Got a few reed stem epidendrums. This one is producing a flower spike there, and I've got a couple more flower spikes developing on them. I've got my Brinchostylus gigantea spots, which is progressing its flower spike very, very well. And I did discover today, so this is my Dendrobium speciosum, which yeah, had a really rough summer. It got sunburnt with the other sunburnt plants earlier this year. You can see it looks terrible. It's had a little bit of a tough time with me, but I discovered these 2 little flower spikes coming from an old cane there. And oh my god, guys, like I just saw this tonight as well. So this is my Cattleya intermedia variation amethystina, and look, there's some buds emerging. I absolutely can't believe it. This is one of the 4 sick orchids that I repotted and treated a few weeks ago, and I will put the video link up because it was in an absolutely terrible state. It it got dunked in bleach. Like, it was covered in mealybugs. It was just not doing well. And yeah, I got dunked in my improv bleach and fungicide solution, and so I was not expecting that sheath to do anything. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm thoroughly surprised that this sheath has done anything at all, but happy surprised, obviously. I'm really pleased. So yeah, that's what's happening out here at the moment, and let's check out my indoor grow spaces. So guys, this is my upstairs grow space, and this is a western aspect, so I get afternoon light through here, and it's quite nice light. I usually have those louvers open, which gives a little bit of airflow, but I find most of the wind that comes into our house is actually from the eastern side, and it blows in that way, so it's not super windy up here. So I do have a fan, but I'm thinking of setting up another fan in that corner just to get a little bit more air circulation around here. I've put some grow lights in here as well, just because the light up here even changes from summer to winter. So in winter at the moment, the light the sun comes down that way, so I get a bit more light through these plants and over here, but in summer, the light angles that way, and most of the light ends up on this side, on the other side of that rail there, so these plants over this side don't get as much. Hi Toby. Hello. What are you doing? These lights are all actually purple pink ones. I've got a couple there. I've got a couple here. This is just an old desk fan, and yeah, I'm going to turn them on in a second for you so you can see how pink everything gets. I'm pretty sure my neighbours think we're having a little disco up here. So yeah, this is my pretty pink grow space, and all this stuff is just set up on a timer, so it comes on during the day, turns off at night, so it's all really just supplemental light. Let me turn these guys off and show you just a couple of new things happening up here. So I thought I'd just quickly show you some of these spikes, which I've already shown you in my very recent Orchids in bloom, but they are developing quite nicely. My little wonky shaped Oncidium wildcat, and this is a repotted orchid which hasn't progressed the length of its spike after repotting. However, the buds are swelling quite nicely, so this had some snail damage. A couple of these buds were damaged by the snails, but the ones that are still alive seem to be still progressing the buds, but the actual length of the spike has stalled. So I think it's still going to flower. Up here also we've got Mr. Twinkle, who is almost in full bloom and just smelling absolutely amazing. And next door, well, down here we've got Toby. Hi Toby. Sorry, so this is my Wanagara apple blossom, and when I got them back from the orchid babysitter, I was a little bit surprised because I really did expect this one to bloom. It's a nice plump growth there, and it had a sheath which was flat when I got it back, but can you see it's a bit swollen there now, and that sheet has sort of split open there. So there is definitely something going on. And when I did put out the video, quite a few of you commented that your Wanagara apple blossom actually blooms in early spring, late winter, so that was quite reassuring, so thank you guys. I've been keeping a very close eye on that spike. And last of all, of course, we can't forget my fowl grow space, so I've put those lights in, just the one. These guys grow pretty well in this room, but this is a south facing window, and the sun is on the other side in winter, so these guys don't get a huge amount of light, so I thought a bit of supplemental light this winter would do it good. And yeah, I've got that on a timer along with this little fan. It's just a tiny little desk fan. I actually bought another pedestal fan as well, so I might set that up in here or get a better fan and maybe just put it in that corner or somewhere in this room. So yeah, I think these guys are really enjoying that supplemental light. It's only been going for about a month now, but they're all doing fantastically actually. They're recovering quite well from the stress of me being away. And the only thing I will say is that being a little bit cognizant of the flower spikes growing in a little bit of a funny direction, because they're all obviously growing towards that light if they're quite close to it. So I've had to move a couple of those spiking ones just to get, you can see that one up there is really curvy because I've tried to change the position of the light a couple of times, a little bit unsuccessfully, but never mind. They're still spiking, and the spikes are growing really well. So I think all up I've counted about 13 new flower spikes down here, which I'm pretty chuffed about. I just discovered a new flower spike yesterday here as well actually. Let me try and find it for you. There it is. Do you see down there? So this is my Falsogo Vivian, which is a lovely variegated plant. I've had her for well over a year, maybe a year and a half now, so it's the first blooming for her. And a couple of other ones opening up. This is my Phallura Paradise, so pretty. And I've got another flower spike here. It's just a little no ID mini phal, little secondary spike coming out here, but this camera never quite captures how beautiful and almost fluorescent these flowers are. They're just absolutely beautiful. Alright guys, well I hope you got some ideas off this video. I just wanted to show you some of the changes that I'm doing to optimize my grow spaces, but please give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more orchid videos. Hope you guys have a great week and happy growing until I see you next time. Bye!